Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Oh, y'all can do better than that. Come on. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
This is kind of like we are in school, right? So everybody filled up the back first, and the late people have to come and sit down front. I think that's how this is going to go, right? I will remind all of our Reentry Council members and our panelists that we are live streaming today. This is for the audience as well. So when you are speaking, please make sure to speak into your microphone so all of our folks who are with us online can hear everything that we are talking about. I'm so excited to see such a huge turnout today. We are really excited to be able to take our Joint Reentry Council meeting on a road show, bring it out west. You know, we meet in Raleigh usually, and we thought we needed to come out here and be able to have the opportunity for people who don't want to drive all the way to Raleigh for every meeting to be able to come and support the Joint Reentry Council out west, and it also gives us a really good opportunity to support our communities out here and the economy out here by bringing so many people west for this meeting. So we are really, really excited to be here with all of you today. We have a really fantastic program today. We are going to hear updates from members of the Joint Reentry Council, and then we are going to have a panel with a lot of our partners and some of our justice-involved friends who are going to be able to give us some highlights and talk to us about challenges of reentering. And I think that it's going to be really valuable and very, very impactful for everyone here. So, but first, what I would like to do is recognize Dr. Boyd, the president of Malin College, who is our gracious host today, and so we are very glad to be here and thankful to be partnering with you.
Thank you, and I want to thank the Reentry Council for coming to our community and to the college to have this meeting. It's important to be out in the community and hearing what people have to say. And so we have a long, distinguished time with working with our prisons and trying to help with people in the reentry process. One of my favorite graduations is always going to the prisons when we do our graduations there. It's so heartwarming to see the family members coming in there and people trying to change their lives and make a difference. And so, and personally, my history with reentry goes way back further to back in the mid-2000s. I was a county council member, chairman of the criminal justice of Horry Georgetown Tech, and a Horry County Council member, and I served on the National Association of Counties Justice and Public Safety Committee. And our biggest issue then was reentry. We spent a lot of time on how do we do the reentry. One of the things we do very well is we train people to be able to be reentry, but actually getting them into good paying jobs after they get out has always been a challenge. And getting businesses to get past background checks where they can, and hire people and taking a chance on a person is just very important. And so we thank you for coming, and we understand that the college is committed to this as well. We just worked out an agreement with Freedom Life here on a re-entry housing project on our property, and we'll be doing some of the training over there as well, and hopefully fill in our workforce that we desperately need here. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you hosting us here today. I also want to take a moment to recognize Representative Dudley Green, who's with us here today. Representative Green is a big partner to our agency and our reentry efforts, and has been a big supporter for us, and I know obviously is a big supporter of our Western community. So thank you, sir, for being with us today. And then I'd like to also recognize, I think, a woman who needs no introduction. To my right is the First Lady of our state, Anna Stein, who everyone knows is a big proponent of reentry, but also she and the governor have been working really hard to lift up Western North Carolina in the past year, and so I want to give her a moment to make some remarks.
Thank you. It is, I didn't know how many people would be in the audience for this meeting, and I'm absolutely thrilled to see so many people come to learn about this really important issue and share your insights. And it has been a real labor of love to spend time in Western North Carolina, and I will continue my labor of love and just to highlight all the wonderful tourism opportunities in Western North Carolina and get people back up here to spend their dollars. So we will keep at it.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Next on our agenda, we have some highlights. Typically, for those of you that are just joining us for the first time, we go around and do highlights from our members here on the Joint Reentry Council who want to update us on different initiatives that they are working on within their departments or within their agencies. And so I will start with Kerwin Pittman.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kerwin Pittman. I'm the founder and executive director of Recidivism Reduction Educational Program Services. I have an update regarding our expungement and resource clinic we did in Wake County. Our expungement clinic was highly successful. Over 335 individuals attended our expungement clinic in Wake County. 150 individuals was able to get their records cleared. That means dismiss charges and get other charges that was able to get off of their records. Also, the promotional video that I put out received over 80,000 views. And so what I realized is that North Carolina needed an expungement tour. And so next year I'll be going on an expungement tour across the state and looking to partner with some of you all here in the West as I come to the West for this expungement tour and this opportunity. I do have to plug that I will have to leave at 11:30, but I want to plug our call center. So we have a call center called the Recidivism Reduction Hotline, a call center where you can get reentry resource information from one end of the state to the other. So from Paquemmons all the way up here to Avery County, we have reentry resource information. You can call in, our specialists answer the phone. The cards will be back there located on the table outside. Y'all please utilize the call center, and I'm honored to be here in the West with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You want to tell them why you're leaving early?
So I'm leaving early to close on a big project that will soon be announced, a real big project.
Little teaser there, so stay tuned. Stay tuned for some big news from Kerwin. All right, good deal. Next, we have updates from NCDIT and Annette Taylor.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Secretary. I'm Annette Taylor with the North Carolina Department of Information Technology, and I lead the Division of Broadband and Digital Opportunity. It's a long title, but it was important to explain that we are on a mission to make sure that every household and business has access to high-speed internet and the skills that they need to be able to thrive in this digital economy, as well as how to use online safety. And in this changing technological economy, we all understand that how significant it is to make sure that we are not scammed, make sure we don't have cybersecurity issues, even from a municipal perspective. So I'm announcing today that we have launched our digital skills standards, and this is a set of standards that really can guide how people need to adopt technology. And really we're focusing on your digital identity online, digital safety, which I was just mentioning, how to have safe digital habits, digital reasoning, digital well-being, digital relationships. All of these are very important. I left flyers outside on the table for everybody to get. And then digital futures, because as I mentioned, technology is evolving every day. And so we have to make sure that we stay connected to it. We have a great partnership with the community college system where we invested $1.5 million for a digital navigator program. So several community colleges have a person in place to make sure that people understand how to use it, but also how to get access to devices. And finally, I'll just mention that Governor Stein announced last week that the broadband office will be investing $50 million in broadband or high-speed internet recovery and repair efforts to internet service providers here in Western North Carolina who did have various damages from the hurricane. So we're really excited about that project. And if you're interested in learning more about what we're doing across the state and the $1 billion we've been investing in high-speed internet, please go to our website at ncbroadband.gov. And again, the flyers are on the table outside for more information about our digital skills standards. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That's all very exciting. All right, next updates from DJJDP and Gary Skinner.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. So I am Gary Skinner, and I'm the Director of Social Work for Juvenile Justice. And to give a little bit of context, is anybody from Juvenile Justice out there in the audience? Yeah.
Yay.
So Juvenile justice releases about 150 youth a year back into the community. So we're a little bit smaller than adult corrections. But we feel like there is a continuity of the work that we're doing to reduce the number of people that y'all see. And we have an exciting thing that we have recently developed in New Bern. We have a collaboration with the local community college and the Volt Center there in New Bern and residential treatment, and we have established this with a federal grant from OJJDP, Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, that will help students, youth develop workplace skills and be able to live in the community after they're released from our youth development centers. I think it is appropriate to be meeting at a community college because we have 5 different facilities across the state, and we are really trying to integrate with community college classes for our youth who are of age and have graduated high school to be able to work with community colleges in many ways, so I appreciate that. We also have a juvenile justice strategic plan for reentry that is dovetailing with the JRC, or Juvenile Reentry Council plan, and so that's something that we have had some federal grants to be able to have the discussion internally and with external partners about what we can do to enhance the reentry opportunities for youth coming out of our YDCs. And finally, I'd like to highlight that in January in Raleigh, we will have a reentry simulation, Triumphant Transitions from the Facility to the Community is what we're calling that. And it's a day-long event. In the morning, we will have a panel discussion for those who understand the barriers for reentry. And in juvenile justice, we are releasing youth who are under 18, but also releasing youth who are over 18. And so there are independence development issues that sometimes cause some barriers, and so we want a panel discussion about that, and then we invite the community to come and experience what it is to have those challenges and deal with those challenges as we are re-entering. So thank you for the time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate all of your work. Any other member of the council have any updates for the good of the group? Yes, ma'am.
So I have been visiting DAC facilities as part of my initiative to improve rehabilitation and reentry in North Carolina, and I believe I'm visiting my 18th facility this afternoon. My goal is to visit all of the DAC facilities, which is 55 facilities. So I've got 3 more years to do that, and I'm on track to do it. And so I just wanted to share a few of my observations and thoughts, just high-level thoughts about what I would like to help happen in our facilities over the next few years, or help encourage some trends. First of all, I just want to say that I'm really impressed with our staff that works in our facilities. I am so grateful for the job that they do. It is clear to me the impact of empty positions and how important it is that we raise pay to attract folks to those positions, because what's clear is that when we don't have those positions filled, they can only barely focus on just safety, and it's really hard to focus on programming. And so it's hard to get folks ready to leave prison when you don't have that programming in place. So I've seen this firsthand over and over again, and so I'm just really impressed with the people that are trying to do the best they can with the resources that they have. Another thing that I've seen is that it's kind of variable by facility, the amount of volunteers that are coming in from the outside to work with the folks in the prison, and I think that's a really positive aspect of a prison, to have people coming in from the outside, the volunteers. So I know that DAC is working to try to change some policies to make it easier for folks to come in, and I'm really supportive of that. Another thing that I have observed is that it's that we need to focus more on parenting and what that looks like of people inside facilities, and that I would like us to see parenting as part of reentry, and make sure that all of our facilities have parenting programs for the people that are incarcerated there. Another thing that I've learned is that it's really important to focus on reentry from day one. So what does that look like? What are the incentives in place for people, if they have good behavior from the beginning? What does that incentive structure look like? Are we giving people hope while they're inside of prison? And that's really important. Also, treating people in accordance to their behavior. So, if someone is doing well and not getting infractions, are we then giving them, some bonuses, some privileges? I guess that goes along with the incentive structure, but I think that's a really important part of this, and that helps people get ready to leave. Another thing is that I have seen amazing skill sets of people that are in our facilities. Incredible amounts of intelligence and know-how. And I would like us to see more to use the skills of our people that are currently incarcerated to help make those facilities a better place to be. And one example that I'm excited about is the idea of training people to be peer support specialists within a facility to be a sounding board for other people that are incarcerated, because I know that mental health is a huge issue. Been told by multiple folks that are currently incarcerated that we need more focus on mental health, and I think that using the skill set of people currently incarcerated to help create this type of kind of paraprofessional would be helpful for everybody. And I'm just really excited that we have someone who is currently incarcerated that we're going to be hearing from today on a panel, because I would really like us to highlight the voices of people, not just people who are formerly incarcerated, which I think we hear, we understand the importance of hearing from people that are formerly incarcerated, but we need to hear from people who are currently incarcerated, because they have a whole different reality from somebody who is formerly incarcerated. And like I said, we really need to focus on the experience of people who are in prison. What is their experience? What are they learning? What are their hopes? How are they able to make themselves better to be ready to get out? And so I really feel like we need to be learning from folks that are currently incarcerated to be able to solve that puzzle. And thanks for letting me share. And I'm just going to keep on visiting, keep on learning. And if anyone has anything that they want me to know about, just approach me, and I want to hear from you. Thank you.
Yes, let me just real quick, and then I will send it over. So to the First Lady's point, I think you can all see why it is so valuable for our agency to have her as an advocate and to shine her light into the work that we are currently doing. Particularly with getting all of you into our facilities to volunteer, and that is something that, as she said, we are working on our policies, but also because it helps us raise awareness on the outside about what the conditions are like within the facilities for the people that are in our care, for the people that work there, and the needs that we are facing, and hopefully that we can get a budget and get some money to address some of these issues moving forward. So it is super important for us to continue to have her advocacy as part of our agency, and as we strive to meet all of these goals and move the agency forward. So we are grateful. We are grateful. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Just had some announcements.
Of course, please. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Waleed. I'm the Chief Clinical Officer at NCDHHS Division of Mental Health, Developmental Disabilities, and Substance Use Services. And I wanted to share a couple of announcements. One of the pieces that we just developed is there is some copies here at the table. This is justice-involved resources. So these are reentry resources. These are critical crisis resources. We have 988 resources. We have Kervin's hotline on that resources, and thank you for partnering with us. We partner with lots of law enforcement folks, our DAC partners, some other people living with lived experience. And this guide, there's a QR code, and you can order guides, and it'll come to your address. It has lots of good resources around that. And it's a little pocket guide. It also has some information that folks can actually write in next day appointments if somebody wants to give that out. Really great resource. Really would encourage if you could take this, and if you want to order some free of cost, you can do that. So wanted to share that resource. And additionally, wanted to share that I have lots of goodies outside relating to our 988, which is a free crisis and suicide hotline, and also North Carolina Peer Warm Line. These are all 24 hours resources. Anyone can call, anonymous resources. They can connect you with other resources or just listen to whatever is going on. So please take information from there, and if I have actually more, there was no room out there, so please take that pieces too. I also wanted to share, just recently we launched our forensic assertive community treatment teams. They are still in the beginning phases, and they are in various counties. And wanted to share a little bit about that. Although they are not just reentry resources, the big focus is really reducing recidivism. And these are specifically for those folks who might have, risk factors of going back to prison or carceral settings and have some serious mental health needs. And these teams are comprised of a psychiatrist who does medication management and diagnosis and other needs that the person might have, as well as social workers, clinical folks, peer supports, and it's a wraparound services where the team understands that it's not just the mental health needs. These are, needs for housing, needs for employment, needs to feel connected in their communities. So we will be sharing more information on that. They're just getting online, and a few of them are taking, the Mecklenburg County teams are taking some referrals, but we will definitely share more information around that too.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Anybody else? All right, seeing no further updates, I will turn it over to Senior Deputy Secretary Pettigrew to give us an update on the Reentry 2030 efforts.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Welcome, everybody. This is amazing, and this is God's country. I'll tell you that right now. Coming up the mountain, oh, such beautiful views. My heart is here in Western North Carolina. I went to school here at Appalachian State. And two things, you are in God's country, and y'all know how to treat people. So we appreciate it, all the hospitality that you have given us. Since we're outside of Raleigh and coming to the western part of the state, one of the things we wanted to do is just give you a high-level a review of what Reentry 2030 is, because we understand a lot of times people don't realize what that is outside of Raleigh. So we want to make sure everybody is aware of it. So I'm going to give you a little history about it. Not too much time, because I'm going to tell you the main event today is that panel. I'm ready to hear from the panel, from the formerly incarcerated and the incarcerated Marcus, and also from our people on the ground that are working through these local reentry councils, doing some great work. So basically, with Governor Cooper, Executive Order 303 in January of 2024 was issued, and it mandated that we join Reentry 2030 and established a joint reentry council with the plan, with the goal of improving reentry by 2030. Now, as First Lady said, we firmly believe it as well. Reentry begins day one when somebody comes in. And we want to change that dynamic of giving them opportunities to grow, pathways to improve their lives, to get the skill set and support to be able to reenter the community. This executive order also mandated that it's a whole of government coordination. So the Joint Reentry Council, as you can see, is made up of representation from all the cabinet agencies, also the Office of State Budget Management and Office of Human Resources. And we were mandated to create a strategic plan by June of 2024. So we created 7 subcommittees to do this strategic plan. Their strategic planning was the first subcommittee: housing support, education, reentry preparation, community resources, behavioral and physical health, career readiness, and employer engagement. And so by June of 2024, we submitted to the governor a strategic plan that had 4 overreaching goals, 26 objectives, 133 strategies, and 95 metrics. Now, we were the 3rd state to join Reentry 2030, who is being headed up by the Council of State Governments, a renowned national nonprofit foundation that works in criminal justice. But we were the first to create such a robust and comprehensive strategic plan. And so we're very excited about that. In September, as y'all can put up the PowerPoint for us, in September, we posted that strategic plan on our website on a dashboard to show all the public and everybody where we were with the strategic plan. We were the first state to do that in the country as well. It's very important for us to be transparent of where we are, where we're struggling, where we're having successes. Now, the subcommittees are important because it has members of all the departments from the reentry community and formerly incarcerated individuals as well. We need that voice in building this strategic plan and moving it forward. So I would welcome y'all to go to this dashboard. Another way to go, we have a QR code up here, but another way to go, the easiest for me, as my dad used to say, go to the Google and put in NC Reentry 2030, and it will pop up everything with our Reentry 2030 initiative, including the dashboard, so you can go and look at where we are making progress and where we need help. So that's where we are today. These 6 subcommittees are continuing to meet and work on the strategies. And in fact, we have several co-chair members. If you are a member of the subcommittee or co-chair, can you stand up, please, so you can be recognized? All right, thank you. So as we continue, we will continue to share that on the dashboard. We are finishing a progress report that is due, mandated by the Executive Order 303 to Governor Stein in December. And as y'all can see with the First Lady and Governor Stein has been very big supporters of this executive order as well as we move forward. We have over 60 of the strategies in progress or completed. So we still got some work to do. We know that, but we're making some good headway. Now, one of the goals, as you can see up there, improving economic mobility of formerly incarcerated people. One of our biggest ways of doing that is expanding our local reentry council footprint across the state. We want to get full coverage across the state because that model is a good model. And in this area, y'all are realizing that with our group here that works in the local reentry council. And you're going to hear from them today. Danny Hampton on the panel does a great job. And frankly, I think that's why we have a lot of people here, is the work that they're doing here in Avery, Mitchell, and Yancey counties. So we're looking to expand those. We're looking for talking to philanthropic foundations to let them know where the need is, and we are always advocating to expand it. We are at this point at 23 local reentry councils covering 32 counties across the state, where when we started this in January 2024, we were at 17, serving 19 counties. So we are making progress, but we hope to have full coverage by 2030. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the moderator for the panel today, Secretary Dismukes.
Thank you, sir. And I will just take 1 second to piggyback on George's comments about local reentry councils, because we are live streaming, so I hope we are reaching a lot of people in the funding community. Our local reentry councils need to be sustainable and they need to be permanent. And in order for that to happen, we need to bring in community and foundation individuals to fund our local reentry councils so that we can cover every single county in the state and we can have even more LRCs than we do right now. Relying on state funding to fund these local reentry councils is probably not a sustainable model. And so we really need partnerships in our communities, in each local community, to help fund these LRCs. The way I view an LRC is that is the entity that when someone releases from prison or when someone gets off probation, they're going to have that wraparound support from the local reentry council in their area to help connect them with housing and jobs and all of the other needs that people have. And without our LRCs, then we are no better than playing whack-a-mole to try to help people, right? So we have got to get community funding, we have got to get philanthropic funding for these LRCs. It is absolutely critical. So that is my plug in perpetuity on the internet. All right, now we will move on to our panel. This is a very exciting panel, and I'm going to take just a moment to switch microphones. I like to wander, y'all, so I'm going to be a wanderer today with my microphone. So we have a very distinguished panel for you here today, and I think that the information that they are going to convey is going to help lift up all of the things that you have just heard about our Reentry 2030 efforts. So thank all of you for being here today. I'm going to give just a moment to give everybody an introduction. So first, we have Brent Bailey down on the end here. Brent serves as the program coordinator for the Buncombe County Reentry Council, an organization dedicated to assisting individuals returning to Buncombe County from incarceration. With over 16 years of experience in reentry work and personal experience with incarceration, Brent offers a unique and empathetic perspective that helps guide participants through the complex process of reintegration. Thank you for being here, Brent. And then on this end, we've got Danny Hampton. Danny has been serving people for over 40 years with a deep commitment to faith-based and community reentry initiatives. Beginning in 2010 as a community-funded chaplain at Marion Correctional, he had dedicated 14 years to supporting incarcerated individuals. In 2012, he founded Freedom Life Ministries, a nonprofit organization addressing comprehensive pre- and post-release reentry needs. We are really excited to have you here today, and particularly to talk about some of the housing initiatives that you are partnering with all over the West. Housing is a big need for our reentry folks, so thank you, Danny. We have Jason Wallace. After enduring 25 years of addiction and multiple incarcerations, Jason Wallace found the support he needed through Freedom Life Ministries and the McDowell Reentry Council. His journey of recovery and faith transformed his life and inspired his dedication to helping others facing similar challenges. Thank you, Jason. Look forward to hearing from you. All right. Then we have Monica Wright. Monica Wright is the DAC program coordinator at FIRST at Blue Ridge, Inc. Monica is North Carolina certified peer support specialist and is trained to provide mental health first aid for individuals in crisis. She is a drug court graduate with honors and has firsthand experience with many of the challenges faced in reentry. Monica has worked at FIRST for 5 years, specializing in direct client care. She serves as the vice chair of the Buncombe County Reentry Council, has served at the Peer University at Sunrise Community for Recovery and Wellness, and is certified recovery coach. Currently, Monica is working with Operation Gateway in Buncombe County to establish the first ever reentry support group for formerly incarcerated individuals with a history of substance use disorder. This group meets bi-monthly to address the specific needs associated with individuals with SUD facing additional barriers to recovery. Thank you, Monica. And then we have Marcus Udi with us. Marcus is special here today because he is still currently serving his sentence within the Department of Adult Corrections. And so he is here today to talk with us about his experiences, and I hope it provides some unique insight into what it is like to live in our facilities and the challenges that we need. Marcus came to us as a single father with full custody of his kids. Having issues with addiction and trying to support his family led him to selling drugs and then to being convicted and being sentenced to serve time in prison. But while he was in prison, Marcus has made use of his time and been a participant on our maintenance crews. He has worked in canteen, in the kitchen, and in the clothes house, and then finally becoming a member of our Bridge program. And so our Bridge program serves to help fight fires and to prevent fires here in the community. And so he has been a longstanding member of the Bridge program. He helped serve people in the wake of Hurricane Helene and also in the fires that followed last year. And we are grateful for your work on our Bridge team, Marcus. And then finally has moved recently to our work release program. And so now Marcus is on work release working at Shuford Yarns. And so I hope that through the course of today, we'll hear about some of that experience. Thank you for being here, Marcus. All right, so a little bit about today's discussion. We're going to kind of bucket these into 4 different categories for discussion. We're going to first talk about urban versus rural differences, what it's like to return to an urban community versus a rural one, and what are the challenges faced there. We're going to talk significantly about housing, transportation, and then finally community engagement. And after we give our panelists an opportunity to enlighten us on their work and the things that they have been doing in this space, then we'll open it up for questions or comments from the audience, okay? So first, let's talk about urban and rural differences and barriers. And my first question is, how do resource availability and access to services differ between urban and rural areas? And I think I'll go first to Danny and then to Brent on this one. So Danny, tell us your thoughts.
Okay, well, thank you, Secretary. First of all, can I do this? If you guys are here, speaking of rural, if you are here from McDowell, Avery, Yancey, or Mitchell County, can you stand, please? Let's give them a hand. Yes. Thank you so much for being here. Because any one of those people who are standing could answer this question. And I also want to echo what Dr. Boyd said in thanking the entire Joint Reentry Council for coming to our neck of the woods and coming into a rural community to be able to have your meeting and to be able to discuss what I think is such a critical thing. So from a rural community standpoint, the first big difference is the experience of the person returning. The stress level is high for anybody who is reintegrating back into the community. But when the community you're integrating back into has extremely limited resource capacity to support and provide the wraparound services that you need to be able to successfully reintegrate and sustain it, then the stress levels just go to a whole new level. And so, and then on top of that, rural communities, and y'all here know what I'm talking about. In rural communities, everybody tends to know everybody's name. And so it's amazing how fast word can travel. It takes a little longer in the urban areas, I think, more people try to get it through. But man, you can talk about it here, and in 5 minutes, everybody in the county knows about it. So it's a stressful environment. You're coming back to a place where everybody knows you, but they don't know the person you may have become. They know you from what you were. And to be able to try to start rebuilding a new life with a positive support system is very hard. You feel like you're fighting an uphill battle. And so that dynamic, even the community that you're reentering into, because it's rural, tends to be more intimidating on being able to walk into a store and not have 5 people say, hey, you out of prison? You know, I mean, it's an intimidating kind of environment. As well as the reentry councils and we're excited about the reentry councils in McDowell, in Avery, in Yancey, and now in Mitchell, yay Mitchell. And they have to do double the work because in rural communities, it's not trying to connect people who are reintegrating to services. It's having to create the service capacity to connect them to, because the services are far more limited. There are great, admirable agencies and organizations within rural communities that are trying to do the best they can, but there's just not enough. There's not enough support, and so we're having to work as hard at creating reentry capacity as then connecting individuals who are reintegrating to those services and to provide the wraparound services. So that's a very distinct dynamic in every critical area and all the social determinants and barriers. Rural communities are having to fight that same uphill battle to be more effective in creating those services. And I really applaud the Reentry Council people that we have here today from these counties, because they're fighting that battle and they're helping to create those services.
Sure. And so do you think that in creating those services, in the first instance, we are creating them for the whole of community, right? The community and the returning individuals.
Yes.
So that we can have full
Yes.
wraparound services
Yes,
in our.
we're having to work as hard at community development as we are reentry support.
Sure. And Brent, what are your thoughts?
Oh, when I talk to Danny a lot, he'll ask me like, how are things in the land of milk and honey? Because we use the term resource rich. I mean, Buncombe is resource rich. So a lot of resources are there, and that is a positive. So a lot of people come out, things you need, we can probably find somebody that's trying to provide that. But the thing about milk and honey is, to get it, you need cows and bees. And what I've learned is sometimes the cows will stomp on you and the bees will sting you. And that's my way of saying we have a lot of resources, but we don't always work well together. We don't always play nice in the sandbox together. And so whereas you have that, the resource is rich with resources and that plethora of things, we also have a lot of people that seem to feel like we competing with one another. So it's a lot of time we spend trying to help people understand we're not really trying to compete with one another. We're trying to help complete one another, right? Like we need one another. And so as you all are developing what you're doing, I think you have a benefit as you grow and develop to let people know that coming up. Like, don't be stomping and stinging one another as we trying to develop these resources for the community. So I think that's one of the differences with accessing is we have a lot. And so we spend a lot of time, too, trying to work well together to make sure we're not duplicating services.
So let me ask you this. Danny talked about coming home to a small community or rural community that everyone knows your name. Everybody knows where you came from, what you've done, where you've been, where you're going. In an urban community, do you find that it's the opposite problem, right? If nobody knows you, then how can you be supported?
Asheville ain't that big. Asheville, like, everybody know each other there, too. I brought Jennifer Velez with me. Jennifer came up. She's from New York City. Now, that's urban. So when we were saying Asheville urban, she was like, I look at Asheville as rural. So that's some perspective. But there's definitely stigma involved. And people do come out feeling like everybody knows, especially when you get out with them white pants, that gray T-shirt, and that white plastic bag. Now, when you walk around town with that, everybody know you just got out of prison. And so, yeah, people still deal with that. And we always going to be on a campaign to try to educate folk and make them aware of the benefits of provide. And I don't even like the word second chance. I like another opportunity. Because just speaking from experience, my second chance needed a second chance. You know what I mean? But I do understand that too, Danny. I think like when you're from a small area and definitely a lot of people know one another, you'll get that second chance, maybe that third. Man, about 4 or 5, people are going to be like, come on, man, what are we doing? So I do see some of that, yeah.
Thank you. And so I guess from the perspective of someone who has had the opportunity to reenter, I'm going to look at Jason and Monica for this one. How have you noticed challenges? Have there been differences in urban versus rural, or what was your personal experience?
So for me, a little background on myself. I spent 25 years in addiction. Of course, incarceration came along with that. Double digit in the jail system around and 2 times in the state prison system. The first time was in 2013, and I got out into the same situation that I left when I came out. I was not really looking to change, and so it wasn't very hard for me to slide back into the same lifestyle. You know, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Fast forward 5 years, and I was looking at the same dilemma. Getting ready to get out, the difference was this time I wanted to change. And what I could have never realized is how much of a challenge that was going to be for somebody that the want was not enough. All I knew was what I knew before. And so my parole officer brought me to Freedom Life when I got out. I had nothing but kitchen lights, gray T-shirt, and some Bobos, and a Bible I'd picked up that I'd never even opened. And Freedom Life was able to provide me that day with housing, clothing, and food. In the very near future, was provided with a case manager that helped me walk through a year-long plan and put all that on paper. And so there began my journey. And a couple months after being there, I was invited to speak at our local Reentry Council in McDowell County. And what I couldn't have realized through all that time was the amount of people and resources that it was taking to make my journey success. Through that process, I was able to, assess all our needs, which are physical needs. We got housing, transportation needs, court case, legal service needs, obtaining employment, substance use classes and therapy, and all that was able to be provided through the cooperation of the Joint Reentry Council. So through that journey, I was introduced to Christ, and and life changed for me. I was able to become a productive member of society. Currently, I'm working for Freedom Life as the jail liaison for McDowell and Yancey and Avery County. So I'm able to go back into the jails and give a perspective to some of these guys and open the door for them to also have the same path. Thank you.
Thank you. Monica, what about you?
Good morning. My name's Monica Wright. I'm the DAC program coordinator for First at Blue Ridge. I wear multiple hats, being a case manager, peer support specialist, working with Brent on the local reentry council as vice chair. I would love to sit here and tell you that when I was released from prison that I hit the ground running and that my life has been beautiful up until now. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Although I was released to Buncombe County, Buncombe County is bigger than Asheville. So where I grew up and lived, I could throw a rock to Madison County. So making it to all those appointments, no driver's license, burnt all the bridges with my family, no real support, the lowest self-esteem of anybody you've ever seen. I didn't even feel like I deserved a second chance. I didn't feel like I could go out there and ask anybody for help, because why would I deserve it? I'm a drug addict with no driver's license. Nobody believes in me anymore. No college education, high school dropout. Did I really deserve a change? Was anybody ever going to believe in me? No, is what I continued to think for well over a decade. Quite frankly, in prison, I met people to help me be a better drug addict. There wasn't hope presented to me in prison. There was no hope. It was drugs and money and survival. And that's what I chose for well over a decade. Today, I can sit here and say I'm 6 years clean.
All right.
Thank you. I love helping the community. I love spreading hope. Also, as a survivor of domestic violence, I want to say those working with that population, both the abuser and the abusee, please don't forget about them. They need help too. It's not just the addicts. Addicts are huge, but the mental health and the turmoil that you go through in those experiences on the receiving and giving end, that therapy and the resources with mental health needs to be there. So with no driver's license, doing all the things, continuing down a much worse path in my life led to more jail visits, and finally reaching a place at Women's Recovery where it was presented to some folks about drug treatment court. I did not qualify. My charges were far worse than what they wanted to accept. My sentencing had already been done, so I wrote the judge a letter begging for the accountability. They let me participate. I needed the accountability. I needed an opportunity to be around other people in like circumstances, and I needed that person to believe in me. That one person that believed in me was Probation Officer Leah Young, I'm sorry. Sorry, Leah. She believed in me when nobody did. She prayed over me. She gave me that protective shield that I needed. She said, I'm going to believe in you until you believe in yourself. I also had an amazing caseworker, peer support, Cassie York, that I wish was here today. It took people looking at me like I was a human and not a failure for me to be able to look in the mirror and believe in myself. So I hope and pray those of you on the inside are able to treat these offenders, these humans, these people like humans. You don't know all their history. Some of you only get to read the bad, but there's something deep-rooted that may have led to this, and I am not about making excuses. My past does not define me negatively or positively, but it defines where you're going when you have somebody that'll go that extra mile for you to believe in you. And if there's anything that I can promote today is to not give up on the people that your children are going. I had problems with my son going to school thinking, oh my God, what if they saw my mugshot? Is that mom gonna let her children be friends with my son? I couldn't help on with my son's Cub Scouts because I'm a convicted felon. What about the list of things that you read out today about me? Those aren't posts. I'm not on social media. That's part of my recovery. But where are people going to see the good? When is it going to stop? Second, third, fourth, fifth chances, people that believe in you, my family at first. I'm just so grateful, and I want to do everything I can to give back. And I want to be a voice that helps and leads people to a better direction.
Well, you were certainly doing that here today. Thank you. And Monica, you raised a good point. We've talked a lot about how the services that we provide inside our prisons help define the reentry, but also I think our community supervision and your experiences there have helped with that path. Is that
If I
right?
can advocate for peer supports to be everywhere today, that is number one. You need peer supports in the prison. You need them at the courthouse. You need them within probation and parole. You've got offenders missing appointments because they can't get to it. And sometimes it is easier to get a drug dealer to come take you to get drugs than somebody to take you to your probation and parole appointment, okay? So let's appoint some people with some lived experience to get these people where they need to be, and they'll show up. How about a pop-in probation and parole appointment because they couldn't make the one because they truly couldn't? How about setting a couple of days aside a month to say, hey, if you missed your appointment, you got one more chance to check in with me this month before I violate you. Just an idea. If we can collaborate for the greater goodness and we can truly be heard, there are solutions. People just have to listen to us. But peer supports need to be everywhere. We're excited with FIRST to be offering some internship opportunities for peer supports. I hope that it starts in the prisons and I get some of those on my caseload. They'll have boots on the ground experience on how to help. Peer supports can help you get to those appointments. Mental health, doctor, probation, parole, employment, job interviews, getting that ID. Hello, can we get some IDs and social security cards? So let's do it.
That sounds like a great idea to me. Let's talk about that after.
Let's do that.
Let's do that. All right, let's move on and talk a little bit about housing. We've touched on it a little bit. And Marcus, I want to go to you for this one. Have you thought about how housing might pose a challenge for you upon release, and what have you started doing to kind of think through that process?
For mine, I'm just thinking about with my workplace, being able to keep my job and then also still stay in that area of the community. But I have to move my children up here as well. And that's different for them, but it's also going to be different for me. I have to re-enter a new society I'm not even used to from my hometown, which is fine, but a lot of guys are nervous about when they go out. They don't want, a lot of people don't want to go to a new place. They want to go back to where they're used to, but a lot of times that's bad for them. They get back around the same people, the same addictions, and they don't need that. They need to get back and stay clean and be around good people that's going to keep them clean and not get back on drugs.
And so have you found it to be a challenge figuring out how to transition to a new community and find housing starting from scratch in a new community?
So far, yes, but with the prison that I'm at, a lot of guys that's already got out, they already kept their job, and they have some people that do help them in order to get a new house and help them with an apartment or trailer or whatever, but they automatically keep their job, give them a couple weeks off to get them situated, and then let them come back to work. But it is very hard for people to find housing.
Do you think being on work release will help you towards that path?
Yes, very much. And that's what they need. I love working, love staying busy. Not only for your mindset, but so that way you got something to prepare you for when you get out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. So in terms of what our local reentry councils are seeing, Danny and Brent, what are the biggest challenges for housing? And we'll start with Danny in your particular area.
Well, in rural communities, it can be summed up really easily. There is no housing. In McDowell County, we're fortunate to have Mission Ministries Alliance, which is a shelter that we partner with that does help us. And we've been able over the years to rent 3 individual houses where we can start building a housing program. But it's always full. I mean, we have to buy tents for people. And in wintertime, it gets really hard because there's no housing. So in a rural environment, this is it. I mean, it's how do you help an alcoholic stay sober living in a bar. And when you don't have the housing you need to be able to provide the accountability, the wraparound services, the case management, the peer support, to be able to provide the transportation, you have a center to work out of. But when you try to work with people in your office and then they walk out of your office and then they go back in the woods or they look someplace else, or just as bad, they're surfing couches with other former addict friends because that's the only place where they have to live. How are people going to overcome their past when they only have their past to rely on for shelter?
And so what's the path forward?
Yeah, and so the path forward is, at least in these 4 counties, we're super blessed, in McDowell, Avery, Yancey, and Mitchell. We have a 2-part housing strategy that we've now been implementing, and McDowell has already broken ground on the first part of the strategy. We have what we're calling Stage 1 and Stage 2 housing development. Stage 1 is what we call life stabilization. It's for people to come into right out of prison, right out of incarceration, because a lot of people have burned their bridges with their families. They're homeless. They haven't had a lot of work release, if any. They have no money. They have nothing, and so they can't come out into any kind of a rent program. So it's designed to help people for 3 to 4 months be able to stabilize, get all of their legal documentation, all their personal life stabilization going, get a job, be able to start on that way. But then because, again, there's always a waiting list to get into that housing, we're also now doing Stage 2, which is long-term transition housing, where in McDowell County right now we're building 44 apartments that is giving us the ability to let people stay there for a year or more to continue to work on life capacity development, not just stabilization, but development, because we'll help people get into permanent housing, and a lot of them have never paid rent before. A lot of them have not developed or learned how to maintain a home, and a lot of them wind up being evicted because they didn't have the skills necessary. So we're trying to help people have more time to really develop life capacity, not just life stabilization. And our Stage 2 housing is being able to do that. And we're really excited right now. We're working with the High Country Council of Government as well as the Foothills Council of Government for McDowell County for CDBG DR funding, which is disaster relief, because these counties were hit so hard. And in these particular counties, because housing was pretty much devastated in a lot of these communities, available housing. I mean, school teachers can't even find housing. And when you're in communities where school teachers can't find housing, how do you think the general public feels about somebody who's been in prison trying to find housing? That school teacher needs that house before this, former person who's been in prison needs that house. And it creates kind of a problem. Even for the leadership in the counties that are wanting to try to do this, because, there's so much need now in these communities. So we're excited through the DR funding, which we're going to be applying for in the spring, to be able to launch these Stage 1 and Stage 2 housing programs in all 4 counties all at the same time, to be able to expedite the capacity to have these. Because I can tell you this, we see a significant increase in success and sustainability when we have housing to be able to bring people in that is safe and supported and accountable, and also affirming and positive, creating the first positive peer support system that then creates a community positive peer support system to be able to hand them off to.
That's right. And what about you, Brent?
A lot of I believe at last count it was 73 transitional or sober living homes in Buncombe County. So we have that, we have shelters, but the biggest issue is people being able to find a landlord who will rent to them when they have a criminal background. So in Asheville, a lot of the units for rent are managed by some property management company or whatnot. So you do the application fee, and then they run it up the flagpole, and if there's about anything on there, then you're going to get denied. And so we find people staying in transitional housing for multiple years. I've known people who bought multiple cars while staying at the same transition house. Because they were making good money, just couldn't find anybody that would rent a unit to them, and they also wasn't necessarily in a position to qualify for a mortgage. So they was kind of stuck in that gap, so to speak. So that's one of the biggest issues is finding landlords who will rent to people. So we got a initiative going now, and there's a lot of people in the room with a lot of different ideas. I don't know exactly how it's going to pan out. I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time, meaning we can do more than one thing. And it would be nice to see some kind of incentivized landlords that maybe take that risk on some people when they have something on their background. It's bad. It's like, I'm saying, like shoplifting. And you know, I don't got nobody with that. My people come out of prison. It's all felonies. But it'd be stuff like that and people coming to us trying to get help to find somewhere to rent because they being discriminated against for the least little thing being on their background.
Do you think that educating landlords, educating the community about this issue and about the positives of renting to people with different backgrounds?
Yeah, I do. That's definitely an aspect. But I'm going to go back to incentivize, too. I think the landlord wants to know if I give them a 12-month lease and they break it in month 3 or the police come over here and I kick them out or whatever, who's going to pay my other 9 months, right? So I think it's a lot. I don't know if any of y'all landlords, if y'all don't take it the wrong way, they want their money. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, the landlord, I want my money and I want my property taken care of. And so what you're educating people about is fighting against stigma. Some of what Monica is saying, like, yo, these are people. People, not animals, people. And then, like what Daddy mentioned too, some people have not ever ran a house before. So we need to figure that out and kind of help some folk out on the front end. But everybody deserves that opportunity. The average age of our participant is 40. We see more people like Marcus who coming out with kids and they need to be reunited with their children. We don't talk about this. 2 things, really quick, 2 things. Women, the incarceration rate for women has ballooned 600% in the past 40 years. 600%. So we got a lot more women being released now, and women have children. And a lot of times, they're not doing long sentences, so they go to prison. Their sisters say, I got the kids, but when you get out next Friday, come get your kids, right? And so now they need a place that they can rent so they can be reunited with their family. That's the thing. Now, we got an hour and 10 minutes through this meeting without this being mentioned, but you start talking about being on that sex offender registry, you really ain't got no house. And so I'm trying to develop a relationship with a landlord, and then I got people nudging me on the back and say, well, ask them if they'll rent the sex offender. Hold on, man. Let me get the first person in here first. But I'm not trying to necessarily keep kicking that can down the road and pushing them on the back burner. But we get a lot of people, and I feel horrible because, as you say, Danny, like they come out, and it's nothing like they can't even go to most of the transitional houses. And it was cold out there these past 2 days, and it's a tent and a sleeping bag. They can't even get in shelters. So it was an hour and 10 minutes before we start talking about that.
Well, I appreciate your passion. You know, I think a little bit of editorializing, but I think that our communities are safer when everyone has housing and can then have a job and not have to worry about that. And so we have to take that on as a collective problem. DAC releases more than 18,000 people every year.
Every year.
Every single one of those people needs somewhere to live. So it's a really important problem. So I'm going to go on now to transportation, and I was coming to you, Monica, you knew I was coming that way, to talk about what are the challenges when you don't have transportation, how does that affect the rest of your reentry?
All of it. Literally. If there's no transportation, so again, Buncombe County is bigger than Asheville. I don't know what all McDowell, I'm doubtful, Mitchell, Avery County, public transportation, right? We want to push public transportation, but it's not offered to everybody. And then let's talk about these bus stops. They might not even look safe enough for somebody to approach to get on the bus. We need someone somehow in the community making sure that when buses are available, that they're presentable and approachable, and you don't have to be scared to death to walk to it. I don't have real answers. I have a whole lot of thoughts, and it comes back to peer support. It comes back to peer support being able to offer the transportation in all the counties to anyone who struggles with this. We also need to be focusing on driver's license restoration. It should not take so much and be so hard when, depending on the charges, of course, I'm not asking you to excuse like major crimes, right? But there's some stuff, people's driver's license are being revoked because they couldn't pay a seatbelt ticket. or they didn't have insurance. Why don't they pay these things? Because they don't have money, because they're risking getting in a car to drive to go get a job to then pay these things and be productive citizens. So transportation is big, and it's like a whole lot more goes to it than just a bus, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. And so what thoughts do you have, Jason, about transportation?
So transportation is everything, housing and transportation. I want you to imagine just for a second, you get that phone call in the day, and your wife says, I need some bread. What do? You don't give it a second thought. You go out in your car, you go to the grocery store, you get some bread. But we're talking about people that their freedom depends on the availability of transportation. If my parole officer says I need to have a job, I need to be able to get back and forth to that job. And I got to make appointments. I got to have court dates. I got to go to the store and eat. I got to have clothes. All those things, transportation is necessary for. And in our organization, we're able to provide a lot of transportation through volunteers. But you're exactly right. All that's short-term, especially things like short-term things that we're sending somebody to First and they need to go get their health stuff done, where they can't go, where they need to go to get their ID so they can get their Social Security card so they can even go to rehab. All those things take transportation. And just a little side note to back on what she was talking about, you're never going to have a better time or an open ear like you do when you got somebody trapped in a car.
That's very true. Very true. Marcus, you've got a good thing going on right now with work release. It sounds like you want to keep that job when you're released. Do you worry about how your personal transportation might affect your ability to keep that job?
Yeah, at first, when we get the first release, but one thing, it's like y'all say, you got to either renew your license, you got to pay your fines, and a lot of guys don't have that chance to be able to do any of that while they're locked up. They got to do it when they get out. Well, in order to keep their job or keep their money flowing, they got to drive. And these guys are going to drive illegal half the time just so they can make means for their family. They're going to, regardless of what the officer is going to say to them when they get pulled over. They're going to still do it. They got to make their money and pay for their family. But as long as, I even had a thought, and this was with the guys on the inside, is what if we can go ahead and get it set up while we're inside? What if we can go ahead and start making payments on anything that they owe to the DMV while they're inside? Or even the guys that don't have driver's license, go ahead and get it started.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we have tried to do that in some of our facilities. We are partnering with the law schools in the state to do driver's license restoration clinics within our facilities. They come into the facilities and they work with individuals who sign up ahead of time, and they talk through what their record looks like and what they might need to pay off or get situated so they can have their license. But we don't have enough. We need more of that. We need not just the law schools who are bringing in the law students to do that. We need people to come in and volunteer from our communities to come in and do those types of things so that we can make that happen for people before they are released.
Yes, ma'am.
Monica, you want to say something else?
To that, so at First at Blue Ridge, we're providing transportation for everything they need, right? So having transportation available in the transitional houses is beautiful. Even when it comes to driver's license restoration, when you have, we're getting them from all over 100 counties. So when there's driver's license restoration, we can't transport out of the county and take some hundreds of miles away just to go get on a docket. So it's something to be in conversation. Even if we start the process of driver's license restoration, they're asking that the person go to the courthouse at which they have the tickets that it's owed, to then get on the court docket, to then have to get a court date to go back. So it's not even a one-time deal.
Yeah.
It's multiple trips.
It sounds like, my next question was going to be about what partnerships do we need to grow in order to make transportation easier, and it sounds like one of those could be partnerships with district attorneys, with AOC and the court system, to make that exact process a little bit more easy to navigate. What other partnerships? Danny, Brent, you guys have any thoughts about?
I would say, as long as it's not like DUI, DWI related, if it's just like old tickets and you didn't go to court and things like that, I'm giving away game right here. Start out by asking for a dismissal. Now, I'm not guaranteeing it's going to work because it's going to be based on the county and district attorney, but you should start there because a lot of time them courts want that off their books just like you want it off out of your way. And I have seen a plethora of people go in, say, look, I got this old stuff. It was just speeding tickets, whatever. Didn't come to court. I just got out of prison trying to go to work. It really will help me if I get these dismissed. I've seen them put on the docket and get it dismissed. So I would just say start there. And as far as systematically or whatnot, got to figure out a way to get more judges to waive the fees and fines.
And I know that that's something that we have been having lots of conversations with. And I know the governor's very interested in looking at fines and fees and the impact that it has on people who are returning. So we are having those conversations. Anyway, what thoughts do you have?
Yeah, well, it really does come down to an organized, systemic approach. To build partnerships is critical because we're blessed to have incredible DAs, DA for both these upper counties and McDowell. We have partnerships with them, and especially in McDowell, you know, our DA and the court system is very integrally involved in the reentry work we're doing. Our DA is on the executive team of our reentry council. So it's all about partnership and the whole transportation dynamic. You know, I would say that's about partnerships too. As you heard Jason talk about, we have wonderful volunteers that provide, like last year in McDowell County, we provided 44,000 miles of transportation for our clients. It's all done through volunteers and through developing a volunteer system because there's not enough money to pay staff to do this. You've got to get creative and be able to start thinking outside the lines, and that's where it really takes building community partnerships on multiple levels, from law enforcement to the court system to the DA's office to DMV and in working all of these partnerships. And so we have had a big track record of seeing people who were told when they got out of prison, you won't get your license for 3 years, and within a year they've had it. So it's working in the system, with the system, and being vigilant and just stay creative. If this door closes, then work a new door. But it's all about developing those partnerships, and from the community side, from the professional agency side, and then within the organization, the Reentry Council, it takes everybody working for that.
And so where do people find the playbook? You know, we're live streaming this. It's going to be on our website. It's going to be available for people as a resource, this panel and your wisdom. And this isn't just a problem in the western part of the state. All of y'all are from out west, but this is a problem all across our state. And so how do we give people a playbook? I'm asking for the inside baseball here.
Is there a playbook?
It sounds like you've got a pretty good start on one.
I would say network.
So you're saying call Danny, you want to give everybody your phone number? Just
Lord help, please.
I put you on the spot there. Call Freedom Life Ministries.
Help me, please. No, but seriously, you know, I think even this is where DAC could help us in creating networking opportunities, you know, having some regional or even at the state reentry conference, even creating again, getting creative on all sides, creating pathways for networking to happen where people, like we've been extremely blessed in McDowell County and now in these upper counties to have a lot of experience in fighting through a lot of these barriers and finding creative solutions. And I would love to go meet with a bunch of people and sit down. Do I have time every day to take 5 calls? No. But I think if we can create opportunities for networking across the state, where people come in, people who have a lot of success, people who are just getting started trying to create success, bring them together in the same room and let's have just sharing sessions and brainstorming ideas. Because there may be somebody just starting that has thought about something that we haven't thought about that we could implement. I think when we can create these connection pathways, I think we're gonna get somewhere. That's why Brent and I really appreciate Brent. And I send everybody who comes to me from McDowell County, I say, you got somebody better than me, go up to Brent, talk to him. He's the man with the plan. But it's not just networking within the community, it's networking within the support system. You know, the other reentry councils, the other people who are in other communities, and especially with rural communities and urban communities, because there are things that people struggle with in urban communities I can't help you with, but I can send you to Brent. And there are people in rural communities that Brent's going to be like, I don't know, man. We don't have that problem. Man, we got too many resources. I keep telling them, well, send some down here, brother. We'll take them. So, you know, it all comes down to networking, communicating, and I think developing a playbook, and that can be an agenda item for down the road for 2030, is to come up with a playbook. Because right now, if there is one, I missed it. Maybe it's because I was sleeping in that class, but I know there's, you know, we got Philip Cooper here today with what they're doing in Buncombe County and around with what they do. And there are people that are getting stuff done. I think it's finding ways to get people connected and to cross-collaborate and really compare and just dream and scheme together. I think it can work. Yes.
I was thinking when Kerwin opened up, he was giving a report on the expungement clinic. And I don't know if it's a thing that could be done, but like a driver's license restoration clinic. And I think, well, people from different places, right? You need to probably talk to the DA first, like let the DA know what you're looking to do, and maybe get a threshold of, hey, what would you be willing to potentially dismiss if it was old so people could get their license back? And that way you have some eligibility when folk come up. So for example, if I walk up to the table and I got a DWI or whatnot back there, then no, you got it. Hey, listen, you got that. You got to get the assessment. You got to do the classes. You got to do what you got to do. You got to get the blow and go, whatever the case is. But if it's just like the seatbelt tickets, speeding tickets, because we see that a lot. We see just give, like, for example, if I'm out here kind of doing some serious things and then I get pulled over and all I get that day is the speeding ticket, I probably ain't gonna make that court date. I'm gonna probably wait till they really catch me for what I'm really into. And then when they do, typically I don't even have to worry about that. So now that I'm out though, I done my time, I'm coming out, now it's still there, I gotta deal with it. It'd be situations like that. So maybe some kind of driver's license restoration clinic, but you gotta talk to the DAs first. And you need, if you want to talk about moving forward, like as a council, you'll need a designated person in that district attorney office. And again, when you tell them like, you know, they can't think you're going to be trying to overwhelm them. Because it's not going to be 400 people a year, you know. You just got to give them a ballpark and let them know what you're dealing with.
Thank you. I'm going to move now so we can talk a little bit about community engagement and the resources and support in communities. And I think, you know, one of the things that our agency is striving to do by 2030 is to have every facility, all 55 of our prisons, be a designated reentry facility. That means that in every facility, wherever you are serving your time, reentry begins on day one. We are trying to connect every single person in our custody with community supports every single day. I will say that we're not necessarily accomplishing that goal right now, and that is not because the people who work for our agency aren't working hard. It's because, exactly as the First Lady mentioned, we are having trouble staffing our safety posts, and then so we can run our resource, all of our resource posts, whether it's case management or whether it's particular programming, connecting people to the outside and to those community supports. And so I'm going to ask a tough question. I'm going to put you on the spot, Marcus. Here we go. How are we doing for you? I want you to be honest, because I will say it's not for lack of good people wanting to do the right thing, right? We have good people in our agency who want to do the right thing. We are strapped for resources just like everyone else. But what has been your experience in us helping you with your case management and feel like you are going to have those community supports when you release from prison?
I can say at my place where I reside at Caldwell, they're pretty good. My case manager helps me out. They do get everything lined up for us. You know, these guys that if they don't strive for it, they're not going to do it. If they mess up, then you know it's going to push them back, and then they ain't going to be able to strive to be able to live outside. The community, it is scary to go back to, because I don't know what's all around. I don't know what all type of resources I can get a hold of, and like driver's license, okay, housing. All right, well, if this job don't work out and I go somewhere else, you know, are they going to accept me for my background that I just got out? It is very scary, but if this is what y'all plan on doing for 2030, these guys need help now.
Right, that's right. And so what can we be doing better now while we are trying to meet those goals, right, those long-term goals?
I say as well as this is not hating on my brothers in the system, but classes. You know, it's not just a mentally thing. It's to help better prepare them for when they do walk out of that gate or get dropped off at the courthouse or get dropped off at the homeless shelter. You know, that way they know how to be able to re-enter society the correct way and not their way, and end up coming back again and again and again. So, yeah, I believe in a lot of classes. And the prison I'm at right now, it has a bunch of classes, a bunch of re-entry classes. And them guys, they love the classes. It really does break it down for them, so that helps them. So when they do get out, I've had a bunch of guys that take the classes, be on work release, get out, and they've stayed out so far. So it's doing all right now, but.
Well, I appreciate it, and we want to hear about it, so if you have thoughts.
Okay.
We want to keep hearing. That's straight from me to you. That's straight from the top. All right, well, what about the community resources, the availability of community resources? How do we grow community resources? This is for anybody, and grow those partnerships to make sure that the availability is there upon release.
Well, over there. You got smart. You know how to cut me off. It just takes legwork. You got to use the phone. You got to go face to face. Sit down and make up a priority list of who are the people that need to be around these tables, who are the people that we need to be talking to, and you just got to make the effort to build that. Now, you know, it would help also if you know, there could be encouragement within the state level for state agencies for people to cooperate. Because sometimes you'll be down here trying to build a council and people, you know, we ain't got time for you, man. We got other stuff we got to do. So, you know, it's a little bit of an uphill battle, but it can happen. It's about relationship building and relationship development, partner identification, partner initiation, and even what we tell people is, all right, if you don't have time to sit on the Reentry Council, then congratulations, you just made the advisory Reentry Council. In other words, we still need your advice, we still need your support, we still need your connection. So even if you can't attend a monthly meeting or a quarterly meeting, can we call on you? Can we build this relationship? Can we educate you? Because community education happens through networking, and so there's certainly large meetings you can have like this, but then you go back and you do the one-on-ones in the individual agency, and we did that a lot. When we were first starting Freedom Life, I went to just about every agency in McDowell County, and I sit down and said, what do you do? Here's what we're looking to do. How can we work together to get this done? And it just, you have to do that. There's no shortcuts that I found. I wish somebody would tell me if there is. But I would also say, to piggyback on what Marcus said, much to the help. We certainly appreciate DAC support, and I know Chief Deputy Secretary Pettigrew was a huge part of this. We've started a pre-release program at Foothills Correctional. And it involves everything that Marcus just said, where we are meeting intensively with those guys. When they have 2 years left on their sentence, they can transfer into our program if they're coming back to these 4 rural counties. And we literally work through trauma, through relational recovery, through cognitive behavioral, through finance, we literally work them through classes for that entire time. They meet their case manager before they get out, and they have the first year of their reentry plan done before they get out, and they've met the case manager, so that then it's a seamless transition, so that we know every bit of what their support's going to be, and we're already working on driver's license issues. We can already have the record, we can have everything ready to pull the trigger when they get out, and the more that we can try to help build this kind of seamless transitional support systems, and I think it's critical for reentry councils to see this as a dimension of reentry. It's not just waiting for them to get out, but it's making connections and working with prison systems and local sheriffs and jails to be able to build all of this together.
Absolutely. And Jason, let me ask you this. What was the one, if you had to give advice to anyone who's trying to start an LRC, who's trying to start any type of community organization to have an impact in transition back to our communities, what was the biggest, most impactful resource or program that you found in coming back and that helped you the most? Setting aside your current employer, or maybe part of your current employer.
So there was no one biggest. I think that everybody holds a piece, and the more people that come together together and put their piece of the puzzle in, for one, the less stressful it is on everybody else, and it is a whole conglomerate of everybody that it just takes to build the support system that we need for these guys. And you know, what I have found in working this job, and I wish I would have had it available to me, was that we start, like you said, day one. We start in our jails. We have great relationships with our local sheriffs and jail staff, and we're working with those guys to make a plan either when they get out or when they go to DAC. Work with them all the way through DAC, and then on the backside when they hit into the community. And I think you have to look at it as an investment in time. And so if you were wanting to start, if anyone was wanting to start, I would say first thing is go to the person that you're trying to help and find out exactly what it is that they need help with.
Thank you. What about you, Monica?
It takes a village. We've got to make a choice to be a part of that village. We have to stop siloing information and resources. This is a community. We need to treat it like one. It can't, I mean, I know sometimes you want to hold resources close to your chest because you're like, but what about my people? But does anybody believe in giving good, you get good? So if we'll just keep it fair across the line, I know life is not fair. People don't like that word fair. I think everybody deserves a fair chance. Everybody deserves to collectively have someone working for them, with them, alongside them. So it just comes down to community and village for me, and that we just can't give up. And continuing to listen to the voices of the people with experience is just so important, because it is hard. Those support groups that we're launching today, the Reentry support group, there's a ton of AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery. Those are all super important. But when we talk about budgeting, we talk about life skills. We know how anger management, how to communicate with employers, being job ready for an interview. Because we, as incarcerated people and just humans, that fear of rejection is so real. But it just intensifies so much from someone who feels like they're the scum of the earth. So trainings on the inside, educational, mental health, life readiness, common courtesy. There's just things that they need access to on the inside to really prepare them. And if there was any kind of incentive, just listening to the people, maybe asking them what they need. You know, maybe sending out some sort of checklist or what would help you. Just really trying to listen and pay attention. Some of them are going to be ready, some of them are not. I mean, we are not crazy and think that they're all ready for change. But the ones that are, just try to listen to them and try to lean on those that have that lived experience to help.
I love that. Thank you. Brent, what do you want to say?
I brought Jennifer up here today, and I dropped the ball. She was supposed to be on the panel, and I didn't communicate with Guy correctly, so I dropped the ball, so I'm feeling horrible about that. But I think she could have a little perspective to add here, because she was in the Pathways program. It was Pathways from prison to post-secondary education. It was a program from this office, rehabilitation back in like 2017 to 19, somewhere in there. But she came out into transitional housing. She matriculated, doing great. But I would like her to be able to come and answer, like,
Please.
Come on, Jennifer,
Come on,
really
Jennifer.
quick. I'm sorry to put
Come
you on the
on up.
spot.
Come on down. That's right.
Yeah. Well, you got to sit down and talk to the mic.
Please give us a little bit about you and who you are,
Oh, of
and
course.
how you came here, and then tell us your thoughts.
I came because of Brent. I was actually incarcerated for 13 years. My name is Jennifer Aviles. I am currently working in Buncombe County at the county manager's office. I'm the admin coordinator for that program. I also handle the non-discrimination ordinance at Buncombe County as well. I joined Buncombe County because of the Vera Pathway program. To me, North Carolina is rural. This is not urban at all for me. And I needed to find a place that provided transportation, public transportation. Let me make very clear that I don't know how to drive. I don't want to drive. I don't want to learn how to drive. So relying on public transportation is very important for me. So being able to move to Asheville was something that when I was in prison and I went out on one of my passes, I was able to see, ooh, they have a bus stop. This is where I want to come. So that's what made me come to Asheville, North Carolina. Joining Vera Pathway was what created everything that I have today. It was the beginning and the pathway to everything that I have today. Without the Vera Pathway, I don't know what I would have done, because they've not only provided me with housing, transportation, education, and they also provided me with everything that Buncombe County had to offer. And I walked behind people that opened those doors. So I was walking on the pathway that everybody else had created for me. I also want to elaborate very much and so much. Yes, recovery is very important. I am all about that, and everybody that comes out of prison and in prison needs those programs. But I don't need recovery. So none of the programs when I came out were for me. So when I came out of prison and I was put in probation, I was put on track. I learned what bath salt was by going to these programs, and I was like, oh, I do bath salt every day. And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, you know, Jasmine and all this great stuff. They had to pull me aside and explain to me what bath salts were. I had no idea what it was. So recovery is not just about substance abuse. It is also about mental health. That is my problem, mental health. It's not my problem. It's my little badge. And my therapist was what I needed. I did not need to learn what bath salt was. I needed to learn how I can cope with everything that society was throwing at me. I didn't know what a cell phone was. They had flip phones when I went into prison. I did 13 years, 45 days, couple of days, seconds. Who was counting? Never. But when I came out, a smartphone was illogical to me. My 15 and 14-year-old had to teach me how to send a text or how to call someone, because I didn't know none of this stuff. And now I love my iPhone. It's my life. But I need to elaborate that it doesn't start when we walk out the door. It starts when you're inside. And that's what the Vera Pathway gave me. Because I sent Brent a letter in all caps because they forgot to come to see me when I was in prison in Swannanoa. And Brent came and we had a conversation and he understood where I was coming from. And he was like, oh, you're definitely a New Yorker. You're definitely going to be my problem child. And he and everyone else in the program gave me the pathway. They showed me and told me, this is what you need to do, this is how you're going to do it. I got out January 2016. I believe the 7th or the 8th, something like that. And I literally started school the next day. And this was all because of the program, a program that started me 9 months before I was released. Because my case manager couldn't even get me my birth certificate or social security card. And they provided me with the avenues and the strength to do everything I needed to do. So I'm a complete advocate for starting while we're inside. Because starting from the inside provides us with the transportation and the tools to walk out the door knowing what we need to do. Because if I wouldn't have had that and I would have just gone to New York like I was planning to do, I would have just been another person to my probation officer. And in 9 months, I would have been done, and I would have been back on doing the same things that I was doing before, working in New York and just living for living. I live in Asheville now to live. I go on vacations. I make plans. I make trips. I go get my nails done. I even go DoorDash. I don't want to cook tonight. I'm going to DoorDash tonight because I make above living wage. So I need to express and just be so heartily that it's not just about the probation officer and the case managers in prison. It's about being assisted and advocated for before coming out of prison. Because my people and my case managers from the Vera Pathway helped me from the beginning, from the 9 months when I was in prison until my 9 months after getting off probation. So for 18 months, I had somebody holding my hand. And I met amazing people in AB Tech who walked me through and showed me. We had our own little reentry group that Mr. Phillip and several of us on the very pathway created, we supported each other. We were each other's peer support. And when people came out, you don't know how to use the bus? Let me show you. You don't know where Walmart is at? Let me take you. We were the peer supports of each other without even having a peer support stuff. So I advocate for anyone to please start from the inside, not just the outside.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was great. Really appreciate that. So we're getting ready to wrap up, and before we kick it to the audience for questions, I want to give all of our panelists an opportunity to just say any last words, thoughts, things that you feel like we either didn't cover or missed, or you just want everybody to know. And Brent, we'll just start with you and work our way down.
I gave Jennifer my time, so
All
y'all
right.
go ahead.
All right, ceding the floor. Marcus, anything from your perspective?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for being with us today.
I just want to say thank you for you guys taking the time to listen, and I look forward to what the future holds and being a part of it.
I also want to say thank you for everything that you guys are doing. You're talking about loving somebody that doesn't deserve it and hasn't earned it. And when we do that, we're stacking our rewards up in heaven. And so I thank you for being here today and for everybody bringing their piece to the puzzle. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to echo my fellow panelists. Yeah, I really appreciate everybody. I know coming to here for 2 hours in the midst of very busy schedules was a sacrifice for everybody. And so I just want to thank all of you. I want to thank you, Secretary, and this amazing panel, and also the First Lady, because this is what it takes. I don't know. I had to learn the hard way because I was a guy that was always looking for the shortcut. There are no shortcuts to success. There has to be the process and the support. And it's rooms like this where people are listening and engaging and learning and giving that makes the very structure that creates the pathways, that creates new futures. And what we tell people in these counties through our reentry councils is we're not just trying to help people today, we're trying to change these communities 2 generations from now. Because every one of the people that we serve today have kids, are connected to family, and you want to change the trajectory of that child, change the trajectory of the parent. One statistic that Cornell University came out with is 70% of high school dropouts are connected to somebody who's incarcerated. So I mean, we're fighting for the futures, not just of individuals, but of literally communities. And if you want to change it, you've got to do it one life at a time, one organized, systemic, coming together and working hard to help it happen at a time. And so thank you for coming to little old rural North Carolina from the busy streets. Now, if Brent's from the land of milk and honey, I don't know what Raleigh would be. That's just Raleigh's got to be heaven itself. I don't know, but
I'm just Canaan. That's heaven.
Come on down, and we'll disabuse you of that notion.
Thank you for allowing us to be here today.
Thank you, and thank all of you. Let's give a round of applause to our panelists. All right, so we budgeted our time wisely, and I'm really excited to be able to open it up to the floor. Does anybody have questions for our panelists or other comments? All right, we've got one over here. We've got Charles and Guy on the mics. Right up here.
I just want to say that I'm very excited that this did happen here. I'm from Caldwell, and put it closer. Okay, I'm from Caldwell County, and we're actually doing a program where we go into the jails. We're doing Inside Out Dad, and I have with me my co-facilitator. He did 21 years, and it's really been working well. I loved everything that you all said. Everything made sense. Everything is real. Okay. Can I just talk?
I don't know if they're
No? Okay. Come over there. I'm always the problem child. It's okay. I just want to say that, no.
Okay.
See?
Test.
Test. It just doesn't like me. I'm just thankful that, one, that you all came from Raleigh. I've always said, if we had the resources here that you all have there, we might be okay. So I, too, am very thankful. Like I said, I'm in Caldwell, and we do not have a reentry council yet. I'm very interested in being able to get one started. But I just want to commend each of you, and I understand getting out and not having the resources. That is a problem. And I would like to say, if there is a book, a playbook, I too missed it. So I think we need to make one.
I think you just volunteered.
I am there. My co-facilitator always says, when I have a problem, I just go through it. I don't try to go around it, I go through it. And I've learned so much working with him. I'm so thankful and appreciative. We were gonna come today through hell or high water because, he is such an humble person, but for him to have done 21 years, he is doing an amazing job in our community, and I'm very proud of him. And I told him, I said, you don't know what a rare jewel you are, because he provides courage and strength to the fathers that we are working with. Initially when we first went into the jails, they look at me, and I can't say that I've ever been incarcerated. I can say I've had brothers and a sister that was incarcerated, and I know what it was like when they came home and they didn't have the resources. It was a long time ago. They didn't have the resources. We have the resources now, and it's just about getting them out there. So when you have someone with lived experience that's able to go in, the men and women really, they hear them differently than they hear us, and so it really makes a difference. So I too agree, peer support needs to be everywhere. So thank you all for coming here. Come to Caldwell next, because we don't have a bus system or anything. So
Thank you, and thank you both for your work in our facilities very much. All right, who have we got? Charles has a mic over here. Somebody out on this side? Was there a hand? Oh, Warden Bullis has got his hand up. We've got another one here in the back.
This question is for Jason and Monica.
Say who you are.
Oh, Brett Bullis, warden here at Avery Mitchell Correctional, and as somebody working with the incarcerated daily. Jason, you mentioned something that really stuck with me the whole time, was you didn't change until you wanted to change. And Monica, you mentioned that peer support is huge, and I think Jennifer, you said the same thing. What else can we do on the inside to help start changing that mindset now that people want to change? Instead of, I know you said yours was faith-based.
I found that across through the way. But I think that you're exactly right. For one, nobody's going to change until they're ready to change. But I think there's a lot of people that are on the fence, and they don't really know what change looks like, or what it's going to feel like, or what it's going to be like, or if it's even possible. And I think just putting people in their path to that have been down that road, also people that care about where they're going, is the number one thing. I mean, we learn by experience, right? And so for them to see somebody that's been there and doing that and moving forward, and it catches, it's kind of like a fire. If you put a wet log beside a fire for long enough, it might catch, and it might not. I don't know, but I think a lot of people are in that middle ground where they just don't know what it is they need. What they know is that this isn't working for me. I keep finding myself in the prison, and I keep finding myself here, and I keep finding myself there, and and by the time they've done that 10 or 15 times, they're out of options. And so understanding that dynamic, I think, goes a long way.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Warren, if you could hand that right behind you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank y'all for your passion. I appreciate the passion, and I do have my MacBook in my hand. So Philip Cooper from Operation Gateway, we was actually impacted with budget cuts, but I did want to share some numbers. And when we look at rural versus urban, the people that we're serving in Buncombe County oftentimes are not from Buncombe County. I need y'all to understand that. It got to the point to where our chief probation officer was upset because so many people was coming to Buncombe County. And so we got to keep that in mind because not every rural area does have a Danny Hampton. So Danny is very different. I brought Danny with me to Knoxville, Tennessee to share best practices across the Appalachia. You can't expect to have another Danny Hampton. But meanwhile, where you have people that are being released, you got to think of what can we do, right? Where are the recovery-friendly places? So at Operation Gateway, we're grateful for the funding from the Department of Health and Human Services. Over the past 2 years, we spent over $395,000 on housing. Over $395,000 on housing, and this has went to halfway houses that cost anywhere from $880 a month to $1,000 a month. Okay, we're talking about people that's getting out that don't have a work ethic, that are not getting those classes. Thank you for mentioning that, my brother. That are not getting those classes, and we got to continue to show up and tell the truth. Especially in spaces like this, we cannot do the dog and pony show ever. We must show up for the people. So thank you. And when we look at what we're doing at Operation Gateway, we're just one organization. But $395,000 to put somebody in a halfway house that's going to tell you to hurry up and find a job. So we need something like first. We need more of those. That's the best practice. We need 120 days. So at OG, we led some focus groups. And MacArthur Foundation, shout out to them. Maybe we'll get that $5 million to build something. But the feedback we got from successful people who have returned to society, who are now working and living and paying taxes and going to church and paying tithes in Buncombe County, the feedback we got from them is that they needed something when they got out. They needed a residential reentry program. So we need 120 days. Thank you for mentioning that, Danny. They don't need to be worried about doing nothing but getting stable for those 120 days. That's what we need. That's what the feds do, right? And so we need that. And then after that, we need housing where these people can get ahead. We got people that, as Brent said, and I'm glad he mentioned it, I know I got some of my homies. I'm active on these streets. They still live in halfway houses, but they can't get ahead because they don't make enough money. You paying $1,000 a month with nothing to show for it. And so what the feedback we got from people doing the focus groups was that they wish there was a cost savings program. So what if they was paying $1,000 a month after that 120 days and 500 of it was going to their savings? You know, we can be creative like this. It ain't hard to find me. I will stay here for a little bit afterwards. I got my cards, and we got solutions. So, Monica, thank you for mentioning that. We're not far away. Just the right people got to get listened to. Like some of us have been figuring it out with Department. Shout out to Department of Health and Human Services, because without them, Asheville wouldn't have what we got going on right now. And we got people that come there for recovery, and they start halfway houses because they parents rich. Because yeah, everybody come to Asheville for recovery. Just in case y'all didn't know, it don't matter if you're from prison or not. We're the most recovery-friendly place in North Carolina, and we have a Narcotics Anonymous convention coming up the first weekend of January, right? But we got to remember that for the rural areas as well. And when we go to the rural west, and you can look at our data, like most of the people that we serve at Operation Gateway don't even be from Buncombe County. Since I've been sitting here with my computer, I got one from Union County, I got one from Pitt County, and I got one from Pender, right? And one lady is going to be getting out a work release without saying her name, and her grandma just died 2 days ago. So now they need an immediate home plan. So who you going to call? Not the Ghostbusters. You're going to call the peer support specialist. And shout out again to the Department of Health and Human Services for the funds. And we can't not forget health care. Like, I ain't heard enough about health care since we've been in here. And mental health is health. A lot of people, you can give them a job and a bed in a halfway house, but if they ain't taking care of post-incarceration syndrome, that's not in the diagnostic statistical manual yet, but a real condition, if we're not doing anything about that, these people cannot re-enter society. They suffer with analysis paralysis, and then they self-medicate with whatever will get their edge off. So let's not forget about health care. As y'all do these JRC meetings across the state, we need to make sure we're talking about health care. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Yes. Two more? Guy says two more. We got time. One. Here's one.
My name is Mackenzie. I live here and I work at a nonprofit that serves northwestern North Carolina. But I think something that we experience, especially when we're working with like state and federal level grants and programs, is that, and maybe this is just me, but like it feels like sometimes guidelines and best practices and requirements are made or written for more urban areas, and that we have to get creative in how we can apply them in especially the most rural counties. And so is that something that you all experience? And if so, like, what are the differences you see when things maybe like from the capital or from whether that's like Raleigh or DC are implemented in Western North Carolina versus Western North Carolina implementing like kind of homegrown programs and services?
Please.
You want me to talk about that?
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we've run into some of those same barriers. Obviously, we're a rural nonprofit trying to write grants for rural needs, having to blaze through some of the languages that really aren't as applicable to the rural dynamic. Fortunately, we just reached out to people who could give advice on how to do that. But I definitely, and I want to give a shout out to Dogwood Health Trust for Western North Carolina. They realized that Dogwood Health Trust started changing from when they first came into this area, their whole grant writing apparatus to be more rural friendly. And so I'll give a shout out to them. But this is where I would say, again, we have had success with Washington and with Raleigh. DHHS just gave us a huge grant to help us in our housing development program. So this has come back to the networking thing. I would say let's network together and find ways to create what I would call a language transition to speak urban through rural vernacular. I don't know if that makes sense, but there are ways to do that. It's just, and again, it's working to find the help. We've been fortunate. We had some grant writers that were very good early on that actually volunteered to help us, and then our county actually paid a grant writer to help us with our first big federal grant, which again, partnering. It's networking, and so I would say let's do that. If you want to talk sometime, we can about strategies on how to do that, because yeah, that's a lot.
Thank you, Danny. And I think we had one more in the back.
Thanks, Guy. Hello, my name is Dr. Craig Waleed. I'm from, where am I from? I'm from Wake County. I represent Unlock the Box in Solitary NC. And thank you, Brother Philip Cooper, for mentioning the importance of mental health care. And so I think that community resources are vital for post-incarceration stability. However, since reentry begins on the inside, how might DAC proactively address the psychological, emotional, and social harms that occur within prisons and intentionally integrate healing as a core component of a sentence? That's my question and statement. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. I guess that one's for me. So I think that one of the things that is very important to me in this role is that we look at our programming comprehensively, right? And look at how we can make sure that the same programming is provided across all of our institutions. Probably some of you have had the experience where as we transition people from one facility to another, they lose the opportunity to partake in certain programming because we don't have all of the same programs at every facility. And so we have just gone through a little bit of a reorganization in our agency, and one of the things that we are trying to do is create a column under Senior Deputy Secretary Pettigrew and Dr. Wheeler to work on what does the comprehensive programming look like for each custody level, and what are the things that we need to make sure that we are offering, to your point, making sure that we have addressed every type of programming that is critical to provide for folks in our custody. And then a similar line of folks in the chain of command in our operations side who are working on how do we implement those programs in every single one of our facilities. That's a long-term goal. It's going to take some time and resources to get there. But the idea being that we need to look at what we're offering, get all of the best programs to all of our facilities so that we can have a comprehensive approach to the education and the treatment and the programming options and even the work options that are available for the folks in our custody. And so I think it is critical that we look at that specifically and that we build that into how we are trying to be consistent across the board in the options and the things that we can provide for the folks in our custody. So we are trying to do that. Thank you. And so thank you all for being here. I am so grateful to see a room full of what I estimate to be maybe 150 people or so, people who care deeply about the issues that the Joint Reentry Council is working on every single day. Please, just for a moment, raise your hand if you are part of my team. I have an incredible team full of folks, y'all, on the reentry side, on the institution side, on the community supervision side, and even on the media side. We've got all kinds of folks here today helping us make sure that this has been live streamed from our comms team, and they are all working across the entire state to try to partner with each one of you to make sure that we are doing what we need to do to serve the people that we need to serve. So thank you specifically to my team for all of the work that you have done to make this possible. I think that this has been wonderful. And I will turn it over to George for any parting comments.
Yes, thank you, Secretary. Amazing meeting, wonderful panel. Brent Bailey, Danny Hampton, thank you. And most of all, Jason Wallace, Monica Wright, Marcus Hootie, and Jennifer. I'm always amazed when our formerly incarcerated, and incarcerated in this case, get up and speak about some of the most difficult times in their life and share. I know that's courage, and we appreciate it. The other thing I would love to mention, Monica, thank you for the shout out for the probation officer that made a difference in your life. As we have talked about, for us to be able to do the changes we need to in our facilities, to offer the programming, to get the in-reach, we need staffing. We need good staff. And please reach back. I ask all formerly incarcerated, reach out to those people who made a difference on your journey to success and let them know that they made a difference in your lives. That is big for our staff. They're there for a reason, and they need to hear that too. So thank you for that. This just reminds me, and we've heard it over and over, and we just need to always keep this in mind. We are in the people business. We're about changing lives, and not only our formerly incarcerated, but their families. It's exponential. It changes our communities. To that end, when you go to our dashboard, we have a section for testimonials. We want to highlight those lives that have been changed. So I do ask anybody, if you know people who have benefited from our Reentry 2030 and the initiatives we are trying, please let Guy Buckner know or me, and we will get that added to the dashboard if they want their story on there. Also, you've heard shout outs for DHHS and our other departments. This is a whole statewide promotion for everybody here. It's not just a DAC show. We can't do it alone, and it's not just us, it's the jails, it's the local communities. So I hope you've learned a lot about our local reentry councils, where we need to help, and that we're going to make a difference by 2030. With that, a couple of things. We will be back in Raleigh at our next Joint Reentry Council meeting. We'll be on January 7th at the Dix Chapel, and that will be on our website. I always want to give a shout out to Guy Buckner, who has helped facilitate this, and the panels. Thank you, sir, for all your hard work. And as the Secretary said, our communications section came up big and came up yesterday, which was a holiday for state employees, right? They came up and helped out, so we really appreciate it as well. So thanks again, appreciate it. Thank you for all the participation.